You're watching ABC 7 News at 4, starting with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon and welcome to ABC 7 First News at 4. Now we are looking at, again, First Alert Weather showing us some showers mainly east of I-75 right now. Not a lot going on. You can see from the time lapse of our Lakewood Ranch webcam, not a lot of clouds out there throughout the day. We had lots of sunshine. Temperatures warmed up into the low 90s for the most part inland, upper 80s near the beaches, and just a few fair weather cumulus clouds out there. Now there are some light rain showers trying to pop up here and there, and we may get some. We'll keep a rain chance at around 30% for some evening showers. Right now, not too bad. 88 degrees, the heat index at 92. We have a nice east wind at 11, indicating that the west coast breeze is not going to develop once again this afternoon. The barometer is sliding just a little bit, but high pressure is still in control. You can see those showers working their way from the northeast to the southwest right now, and a few spotty showers now and again near Venice and southeast of Englewood. That activity pushing to the west. A little light rain shower near Wauchula. The wind flow is all out of the east and will stay out of the east and northeast through the night tonight and throughout Thursday. So expect similar conditions for us tomorrow. Temperatures will once again warm up above average tomorrow. It's 88 right now in downtown, actually 88 at the airport, 89 downtown Sarasota, 85 the Gulf water temperature. And the feels like temperatures all into the mid to lower 90s right now. Beats the 100-degree range. We'll have much more in our weather talk about the tropics. A system down to our south. We'll take a look at it coming up in just a few minutes. Jacqueline, Scott?
All right, Bob, thank you. Now to our top story. It's no surprise red tide has affected local businesses, but the Salvation Army is now seeing a major increase in need for assistance from service workers due to that ongoing outbreak.
ABC 7's Jackie Kelly talked with the Salvation Army and tells us about the need that they're seeing. Jackie?
That's right, guys. The Salvation Army says that they've been seeing more people come in asking for help and assistance in things like paying their rent, water, and cable bills. They say, in fact, their need is up by 40% in South County and 33% in North County from this time last year. The Salvation Army says when they provide assistance, they ask for the reason why, and they have found that people coming in are coming in due to the impact red tide has had on their job. And while we don't know when red tide will settle down, the Salvation Army says that they're trying to get as much donations as they can so that they can continue to help those that are impacted by the red tide. And at 6, you can hear from the Salvation Army as they talk about the risk this community faces as some people are on the cusp of homelessness. Back to you guys.
All right, Jackie, thank you. The group Englewood Indivisible holding signs along McCall Road, hoping to spread the word about red tide and its impact on the environment and the economy. Florida Fish and Wildlife releases an updated red tide report on the latest conditions later today, but regardless of the report, the group still plans on protesting and meeting at several locations across the Suncoast to promote change to the Gulf. State College of Florida will no longer offer dual enrollment classes to students on area high school campuses. Now, Sarasota Manatee County students can only get that dual enrollment credits going online or by going to an SCF campus. In a letter to the college, the school superintendents of both counties say they're disappointed by the change. SCF officials say the decision was strictly about inconsistencies, blaming faculty oversight and the courses not meeting SCF standards.
We wanted to improve those, and the best way to do that was to bring the program back to being administered on State College of Florida campuses.
And coming up tonight on ABC 7 News at 5, why State College of Florida officials think this change will be in students' best interests. Jacqueline joins us now with an investigative bombshell report from the New York Times.
Scott, today President Trump responding to that report that accuses him and his family of enriching themselves for decades through dubious tax schemes. The paper claims the Trump family avoided paying hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. They report Donald Trump's father lent him at least $60 million. The Times saying that overall the president received, quote, the equivalent today of at least $413 million from his father's real estate company, adding that much of the money came to him through tax schemes, including instances of outright fraud.
Interesting because we started with a simple question. He'd made around $130 million, and it was just such a juxtaposition from 10 years earlier when the New York Times had published 3 pages of his 1995 tax return where he had logged $1 billion loss.
The president's personal lawyer called those allegations 100% false. The New York State Tax Department now reviewing the Times allegations. Meanwhile, time is ticking down to the FBI's Friday deadline as investigators look into the allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. President Trump now mocking his accuser, Christine Blasey Ford. ABC's Lana Zak has been following it all in Washington.
But I don't know.
At a campaign rally in Mississippi, President Trump supporters laughed and applauded as the president mocked Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, the person who says Judge Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her while drunk at a high school party decades ago.
Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember.
Those remarks not sitting well with one crucial Republican senator.
To discuss something this sensitive at a political rally is just not right. It's kind of appalling.
But Senator Flake on the Today Show hinted that Kavanaugh, who vehemently denies the allegations, may still have his support.
Even if no votes are changed in the end, to have a pause here and to actually have an FBI investigation gives us all more confidence in the process.
Dr. Blasey Ford's team is questioning the fairness of the investigation. They say the FBI has not interviewed her and is not returning her calls. And the White House is firing back, saying President Trump's comments were appropriate.
She's been treated like a Fabergé egg by all of us, beginning with me and the president. He's pointing out factual inconsistencies.
Also scolding the New York Times for releasing this letter from 1983. Kavanaugh telling his high school friends in advance of Beach Week they should warn the neighbors that were loud, obnoxious drunks with prolific pukers among us. The White House says he has already acknowledged under oath that he drank underage, but his testimony implied otherwise.
The drinking age was 18 in Maryland for most of my time in high school and was 18 in D.C. for all of my time in high school.
The president's son, Don Jr., denied his father was mocking Blasey Ford, but her attorneys called it a vicious attack, and they asked, quote, is it any wonder that she was terrified to come forward? Lana Zak, ABC News, Washington.
Well, let's send it back to Scott with the latest on the upcoming election.
Jacqueline, Florida's 67 supervisors of election are starting to send out vote-by-mail ballots this week. As of today, more than 2.5 million voters in the state had requested those vote-by-mail ballots. So far, more than 4,200 Floridians have already cast their votes, with just under 5 weeks remaining until Election Day. Leon County Supervisor of Elections says people should take advantage of the options they have to cast their vote.
It's a very long ballot. We don't want to see lines like have been seen in the past, so that's why we're encouraging people to vote ahead of time, a vote before Election Day, either by mail, as we're speaking today towards, or early voting.
Early expects voter turnout for the general election to be significantly higher than the 27.5% statewide percentage during last month's primary. And excitement surrounding the midterm election is as high as ever. This year's National Voter Registration Day broke the previous record set for new voters. Last week, more than 800,000 people signed up to vote in the upcoming midterms. Voter registration for the midterms still open across the country. Tuesday, October 9th marks the last day to register and still cast a November ballot in 1/3 of states, including here in Florida. Still to come, a lack of oversight leaves FEMA vulnerable to fraud and waste. Plus, the famous flag flown from Frying Pan Tower barely survived Hurricane Florence, but has since been sold for thousands of dollars at auction. And a dumpster investigation in Nevada turns into a bear cub rescue operation. Coming up.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at SCORE.org.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Rugs as Art. You know the name, you know the building, but do you know what's inside? Yes, Rugs as Art is Florida's #1 area rug superstore, but there is so much more. Amazing furniture, accessories, and art. All this and more. Come see for yourself. You'll love our personal touch and be pleasantly surprised by our affordable prices. Rugs as Art and more. There is so much more to explore.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Know your land, know your prey.
Saturdays at 5:30 and Sundays at 2 on the ABC7 live stream.
America was built on a love for the outdoors. Join us every week for the best shows celebrating the outdoor lifestyle. Outdoor America. Live free.
This weekend on the ABC7 live stream. Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Hurricane Irma left behind piles of debris along our roadways and our front yards for months after the storm. So now the federal government is holding FEMA responsible. ABC7's Jess Dowdrick joins us in the studio with that story today. Jess?
Scott, debris removal in Florida and Georgia after Hurricane Irma is estimated to have cost about $1.5 billion. The Department of Homeland Security is now saying FEMA is responsible for those costs because the organization didn't provide adequate oversight of debris removal and costs following the storm. Remember this, piles of twigs and branches and trash bags full of leaves and other debris sat in some front yards 2 months after Hurricane Irma. While many local city and county governments have made changes to improve debris cleanup in the future, FEMA is now being called to make its own changes. The Department of Homeland Security wants to see FEMA change 3 things. First, to develop and implement clear rules and procedures for debris removal. Second, determine cost-effective field presence to oversee the removal. And lastly, create a quality control method to verify how much debris is being collected and claimed for reimbursement. I talked to representatives from FEMA today to get their response to this investigation. They say the organization plans to take corrective actions on all 3 issues and address them accordingly. Scott.
All right, thank you so much, Jess. Let's get to Jacqueline now in the newsroom with a look at what's trending today.
Scott, firefighters in Reno, Nevada conducted a unique rescue right outside of their fire station. Crew members say they woke up to the sound of a dumpster tipping over. The next morning, that dumpster investigation turned into a rescue operation. Not 1, but 3 bear cubs were trapped inside. While one firefighter attempted to free the cubs, another recorded video. Now, all 3 did scamper safely back into the woods. Firefighters later tweeted that a concerned mama bear oversaw that entire rescue op. Well, the FAA is investigating an incident in Pennsylvania where state police used a helicopter to break up a group of rowdy tailgaters. Police say fans were, quote, getting out of hand outside of Penn State's Beaver Stadium and refused to leave. So they sent a low-flying helicopter to interrupt their fun. But things didn't go quite as planned. Tent poles, tarps, and debris became airborne, injuring at least 1 person there. State police said the chopper was deployed simply as another tool to try and curb dangerous behavior. A Florida sheriff's deputy used a stun gun on a man who tried to run away after he was pulled over while riding a stolen tractor, and it was all caught on camera. The dash cam had nearly 50,000 views today. According to the Washington County Sheriff's Office, the deputy spotted the swerving tractor driven by Charles McNeil. When the deputy pulled him over, McNeil gave a false name and an invalid driver's license. McNeil then tried to run away to avoid being handcuffed, and that's when the deputy used his stun gun to stop him. Well, the famous flag that flew above the former U.S. Coast Guard light station during Hurricane Florence has been sold at auction. Frying Pan Tower held a charity auction, and that flag went to the highest bidder for $10,900 after nearly 100 bidders contended for it. 100% of the auction's proceeds will now go directly toward Hurricane Florence relief. That flag is set to be replaced by another American flag that was flown at the nation's capital. And speaking of Hurricane Florence, let's send it back to Scott with more on how companies are feeling the effects.
Jacqueline, Delta is blaming Hurricane Florence for a multi-million-dollar hit to its bottom line. Airline officials say canceled flights from last month's hurricane costed about $30 million. Delta also says it's dealing with fuel prices that have risen 35% in the last year. And the hurricane may have put the brakes on some car sales. Major automakers say sales fell 7% in September compared to a year ago. A sales analyst for Ford says Florence was almost certainly a factor in that decline. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan now with our first alert forecast. Bob?
Scott, keeping with the tropical scene right now, 30% chance of this developing over the next 5 days. Not much over the next few days due to some strong shear here, but it is going to be moving northward. It's in the western portion, southwestern portion of the Caribbean, and the chances are not going up all that much. But once it gets into the northern portion, northwest portion of the Caribbean, there's a better chance that we think that it will develop. Forecast models are picking up on it, and there's still not a centralized area of low pressure. It's a broad area of circulation down there. We'll keep an eye on it right now. Just have to keep a close watch on it. 89-degree water temperatures, though, all throughout the Gulf of Mexico for the most part. So any storm that gets in there, if the shear isn't all that strong, will have an opportunity to gain some strength if it does indeed get into the Gulf. The next named storm up is Michael. We've had 12 named storms, 6 of which are hurricanes so far. Leslie becoming a hurricane today, and typical a year, 12 storms, 7 hurricanes, and 2 major ones. We've had 1 major hurricane, Florence being that, and looks as though we'll have to keep an eye on that system down to our south. But right now, Leslie, not a problem to any land area. Well, the high pressure ridge continues to dominate the weather over much of the southeast, as it has been over the past few days. It's not doing much. It's getting weakened by an upper level low a little bit, now moving across the eastern portion of the Bahamas right now. But we're getting that steady east wind, and with that steady east wind continuing, temperatures are staying very warm. In fact, highs today were a few degrees above average, and we had the heat index up near 100 this afternoon. As far as rainfall goes, not a lot. A little bit of that dry air we talked about yesterday east of the state has filtered in. Not all of it, but just enough to limit the shower activity. You see some rain now into central Florida, a few spotty showers here and there, all pushing to the west. So if you get a little bit of rain where you are, it's not going to stick around all that long. Here's that upper level low spinning, bringing a lot of sunshine to the Bahamas right now as a result of that dry air. And some of that you can see filtering in all the way out into the Gulf of Mexico. So the storms that do develop this evening will not be all that strong, and will push pretty quickly off to the west due to that easterly flow. These are all low clouds that you see right here moving in an east-southeasterly direction. Keeping an eye on this little flare-up of storms. Nothing to worry about, though, with that upper level low nearby. So the Futurecast showing a few spotty showers tonight, clear, say after 9, 10 o'clock, and then we'll stay sunny to start things off or drop off in your commute. And then by the afternoon, a little bit better chance for a few spotty showers tomorrow. Again, that sea breeze will not have a chance to develop, so we don't expect those storms to stick around all that long tomorrow. There won't be many. Friday, a little dry air slips in once again, so good news for football Friday night. We are expecting just a possibility of a few isolated showers at that matter. Let's get back to this system. It looks rather impressive here, but that's not where the area of low pressure is. The broad area of low pressure is right here in the southwestern portion of the Caribbean. And as I said, conditions are not favorable. These clouds are ripping off to the northeast right now, and so the shear is still pretty strong throughout that region. So not a big factor as far as that goes. And this disturbance, the visible satellite imagery showing that circulation. You can see some of these clouds moving in that counterclockwise swirl down there, some deep convection developing in places down in the Caribbean Sea. For us, we're looking at pretty windy conditions to start things off. 15 knots. Seas will be right around 2 feet. There'll be a light to moderate chop. Moderate chop in the morning, a light chop in the afternoon as a result of those winds settling down just a little bit. Well, the 7-day forecast then, a 40% chance for late day showers tomorrow, but most of the day sunny. Will be warm, 91 for your high. Temperature staying right around 90 degrees, or average high at 87 degrees. So temperature is well above it for the next 7 days, and then a better chance for a few scattered showers on Sunday, but the weekend is still looking pretty good. Be sure to download our ABC7 weather app. I know most of you have, but if you haven't, you should. It's free, for one. That's always a good thing. And just go to your app store and do a search for WWSB First Alert Weather and Download that. You can track the storms with us and get all the warnings and alerts that you want. You have control of that through the settings part of it, so you don't have to have all the alerts. Like blizzard warnings, probably not a big deal down here.
But if you're traveling, you can set
You're
it up
right.
to
That's
be
a
where
good
you
point.
are. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, people in several states are cleaning up today after severe weather brought significant damage and flooding. An EF2 tornado plowed into a Pennsylvania nursing home with winds estimated at more than 100 miles an hour. No injuries were reported, fortunately. Cleanup is also underway in parts of Connecticut. A storm system brought heavy winds and torrential rains to New Canaan.
Yeah, seasons of change. Major weather problems on the other side of the country as well. The remnants of Tropical Depression Rosa brought buckets of rain to the southwest. Emergency officials in Phoenix had to rescue a woman from a vehicle stranded in high waters. You see this scene played out all the time. One man took to the streets in Scottsdale to ride the waves on his surfboard, despite the city's flash flood warning.
Not sure that's recommended right there. Well, in Indonesia, the death toll from the massive earthquake and tsunami spikes to more than 1,400 victims. There's growing frustration over the pace of aid as survivors face another day of dwindling resources. Aid officials say there's an urgent need for food, clean water, shelter, and medical supplies.
Now, the island was also hit with another natural disaster earlier this morning, a volcanic eruption. The volcano alert level is 3, with 5 being the highest on the Indonesia volcanic eruption scale. A press release says there is no need for evacuation at this time, but danger zone around the volcano is within 2.5-mile radius. So look at that, pretty impressive.
Boy, just a trifecta of trouble there for sure. Thank you, Bob. Still to come, how some local law enforcement spent their morning getting to know the community.
I'm Linda Carson from Suncoast View. Coming up Thursday morning live at 9, State College of Florida spotlights hate crimes as they present the Laramie Project. The Sarasota County Fire Department uncovers the dangers that may be lurking in our homes, and the Sarasota Orchestra attracts young people with a concert they hope will make them lifetime music lovers. That's coming up tomorrow morning live at 9.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC 7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Your last chance for 2018 Honda Accords on sale is now during our model year-end sale. Drive new Accords for just $249 a month. Get an Accord, the North American car of the year, for less than the competition. With more standard features than Camry, Honda Sensing, multi-angle camera, turbocharged engine, and more. New Accords, just $249 a month. Your last chance for Accords, all on sale this week at your local Honda dealer.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000. Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
The world is a beautiful place again.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dozens of Sarasota residents turning out this morning to a downtown coffee shop for the opportunity to talk to local police. Coffee with a Cop held at Pastry Art on Main Street today, where officers answered questions and concerns from members of the community. The turnout was so large enough that they spilled out onto the sidewalk. Police chief says this is a great opportunity for citizens and the officers.
They ask about homelessness and how we're addressing homelessness. They ask about security and safety and is Sarasota a safe place. We have parents come up to us and say, hey, I want my son or daughter to become a police officer. How do they apply? So there's every range of conversation about different topics, you know, about what's going on in Sarasota, what's going on nationally. And it's just a great way for us to get to know the community and for them to get to know us.
And the chief says the number one issue people want to talk about here is that homeless crisis in Sarasota. Back to meteorologist Bob Harrigan for more on our evening forecast. Bob?
Scott, partly cloudy skies expected for your beach walk this evening. An isolated shower not out of the question, but it shouldn't ruin many plans this evening. We'll have an east wind at 5 to 10 and sunset coming at 7:14. Days are getting shorter, obviously, and we were watching the hurricane season getting shorter too. There's less than 2 months before the official end. We have the hurricane out here, our 6th hurricane of the season. This is Leslie, which is now moving northward. It had been dropping to the southwest over the past 24 hours, but now it's on its trek back northward. Top winds now above 74 miles an hour. And you can see down south a lot of activity, nothing organized right now, not too concerned about it at this point. We'll watch it over the upcoming 7 days. And as far as the Lakewood Ranch webcam goes, you can see those fair weather puffy clouds out there over parts of our area. And again, a slight chance for an isolated shower here and there, but they will not be all that strong. We'll have much more coming up at 5 o'clock. Scott?
Okay, Bob, thank you. And thank you for joining us for ABC 7 News at 4. We'll see you again in half an hour.